Our guest right now, he's a host, reporter, producer for the Giants, Knicks writer for FAN 660. John Schmeelk joins us. John, you don't like the Lonzo Ball fit with New York. Why is that?
Oh, well, I love Lonzo Ball, and if I had the first pick in the draft, I'd probably take him. And if the Knicks get, by some miracle, the first or second pick in the draft and have the chance to take him, I think they should. But if Phil Jackson's going to force the triangle offense on the Knicks next year, I think it's a terrible fit for Lonzo Ball's skill set. I mean, he's best when he's in transition, when he's in semi-transition, pushing the ball, having the ball in his hands and controlling the offense. And if you go back onto all of Phil Jackson's teams, whether it was the Bulls or the Lakers, he never had a high assist point guard. So you're basically taking Lonzo Ball's greatest strength and you're taking it out of his game by putting him in the triangle. That's why I don't think it's a bad fit. Now, I still draft him, and he'll still be there when Phil's gone in 2 years. That's great. But I just don't see him fitting in the way Phil Jackson wants him to run the offense.
All right, so if it's not Lonzo Ball as the fit for that triangle offense, is there a player still left in college basketball that could fit the triangle offense?
But point guard-wise, no. And I think that's the essence of the issue with the offense, in that in a league now, in a sport that's dominated by pick and roll, point guards with the ball in their hands that can score and pass, the triangle doesn't ask that at a point guard. So, I mean, I think if you look at the guys coming out, of the guys that would fit in the system, I think Josh Jackson as a wing, would be a good fit. I think Malik Monk as a scoring two, who I actually really like. He's probably my third or fourth favorite player in this draft class. I think he's excellent. I think he would fit in that system. So there are guys out there that can fit, but point guard-wise, no, because the triangle does not utilize your modern NBA point guard. It just doesn't.
John Schmeelk with us right now, 104.5 The Team. John, is it just pure greed on my part as a Knicks fan that I want LeVar Ball tied to my Knicks?
Oh, God. No, please. The Knicks have to deal with so much nonsense and garbage off the floor. That's the last thing you want to deal with.
John, what are your thoughts? Like, we were just talking about this. Phil Jackson not going to be at the Kentucky UCLA game. He's going to be at the trophy, the statue unveiling for Shaq. I'm a little ticked off because I feel like he should be there to see these youngsters playing tonight.
Yeah, he should be. I don't disagree with you necessarily. But I honestly believe that Phil Jackson, and if you go back to how the Knicks have done these last couple drafts, if you think he was sitting there pouring over Kristaps Porzingis and pouring over Willie Hernan-Gomez, I honestly think he leaves that to his scouts. And I think the Knicks scouting department, to be quite honest with you, all jokes aside, is actually probably one of the strengths of the organization, especially the European scouting, which is one of the reasons that, Porzingis and Hernan-Gomez, and if you go back to Danilo Gallinari, those guys all worked out so well. So I'm not that concerned with it. Should he be there? Yes, no question. But I actually have faith in the Knicks scouting department. They'll have enough guys there, whether it's Steve Mills or, Clarence Gaines, whoever else they send out there, that they'll do a good job figuring it out. But I can't wait. I mean, Ball versus Fox and Munga, I think it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun.
It's going to be an awesome game tonight. What will this offseason look like for the New York Knicks? Who's going to still be in a Knicks uniform for the 2017-2018 season?
I'll tell you what, I hate the fact that we're seeing all these whispers that the Knicks would consider bringing Derrick Rose back. He would consider coming back. If I'm running the show, the first thing I do is get that guy as far away from our organization as possible. He's a terrible passing point guard. He's bad for Kristaps Porzingis' growth. He can't be here. And I don't think he will, because I don't think Phil Jackson thinks he's good for KP either. So I think that's number one. I think Phil will once again try to find a trade for Carmelo, which I think will be a lot easier in June and July than it was back in February, because teams will have cap space in which they can absorb his large contract, and I think the Knicks can probably get something back for him when they couldn't have back in February. So I don't think either of those guys will be there. I would move Courtney Lee if you can get a first-round pick or a young player. I like Courtney Lee. He's a good player, but, he's over 30. He's not going to win in the window. And at this point, if you're going to do this, guys, do it right. Blow the whole thing up. Only a couple guys are untouchable, Hernan-Gomez, KP. Everyone else, put them on the market. If you can get something younger and better for them, adios.
John Schmeelk with us now. He knows his stuff about the Knicks, but basically Mr. Do-It-All for the Giants. As a matter of fact, there's been years we've been there for training camp, and we wouldn't even get on the air if you weren't there to give us pointers on how to do things. So when we look at this Giants team, what's the next move? Or is it going to be Jonathan Hankins returning?
You know what? The longer he stays in the free agent market, guys, I think the better chance he has of coming back. Clearly, the market for defensive tackles hasn't come together like he thought. Dontari Poe, who was, one of the top targets in the market, had to settle for a one-year deal. So I think there's a shot he might be back with the Giants. And after the whole JPP thing went down, I didn't think there was going to be after he got franchised. But now I think there's a legitimate chance it could happen. We'll see. Maybe Hankins can still get a bigger deal elsewhere, but I do think there is a legitimate chance that they could bring most of this defense back in completion for next year, which would be great considering how good that unit was in 2016.
Yeah, Levack and I have always had this discussion now about the running back position, too. Are they really fine with Perkins in the backfield, or could we see a move for a McCaffrey or Dalvin Cook in the first round?
I wouldn't. To be honest with you, I went back and I watched every single one of Perkins' runs on coach's tape last year, guys, and I'm telling you, he's a good player. I was at the Combine this year. And, you know, everyone's there looking at this year's class, running their drills and stuff. But I went back and I talked to all these scouts about what they thought of Paul Perkins last year. And a lot of these guys thought he was a top 5, top 6 running back in the draft last year. And him falling to the 5th round was really a stroke of luck for the Giants. So here's how I think the Giants will handle the running back position. Vereen will come back. He'll be your third down guy. Perkins will play a lot on first and second down, probably get between 15 and 18 carries a game. And then I think they'll try to find the complementary guy to run downhill between the tackles and short yardage. They just signed Sean Drone. He can do a little bit of that. He's also a good backup to Vereen as a good receiver. But I wouldn't be surprised if they drafted a guy in maybe the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, maybe James Conner out of Pittsburgh, Jamal Williams out of BYU, that can run downhill and kind of be that short yardage goal line guy. So that's how I think they'll handle it.
John, what do you think the target's going to be with that first round draft pick?
I'm sorry, say that again?
What do you think they'll target with their first round draft pick?
Oh, you know, you want to say an offensive lineman, right? Because if you want to pick out a weakness of this group, it would be the offensive line of the team in general. But here's the thing. I can't say with any certainty that even the best tackles on the board at that spot at 23 are going to be ready to come in and start it right away. You know, Ryan Ramchik's coming off a hip injury from Wisconsin. Garrett Bowles is very raw. Cam Robinson has all sorts of issues in terms of technique and consistency. I think the best offensive lineman will probably be Forrest Lamp, who's going to be a guard in the NFL. And you really want to pick a guard with the 23rd overall pick in the draft. So I think while you'd love to find an offensive lineman, I'm not sure there's going to be one that's good enough that's going to be there. I think David Njoku, the tight end out of Miami, if he drops that far, I think he's an option. I think if you take a look at a linebacker out of Vanderbilt, Zach Cunningham, I think he's an excellent football player. I will consider taking him there. And then you never discount the Giants picking a pass rusher. Look, they've had plenty of pass rushers before, and they've taken one in the first round anyway. So if, you know, Taco Charlton's sitting there out of Michigan, that wouldn't shock me if the Giants went and picked another defensive lineman, to be honest with you.
John Schmeelk, man, he covers it all. Host, reporter, producer for the Giants. Knicks writer for WFAN 660. Hopefully we get to run into you at camp this summer, and hopefully this time it's not you telling me why I don't know how to get on the air.
I'm always happy to have you guys down there. And look, the bottom line is we do always get you on the air eventually.
True story. Like I said, the first year we were there, I think I was plugging like an Ethernet cable into a phone line. It was bad. You just had to come out and just straighten me out.
We make it happen, baby.
John, thanks so much for your time, man.
Hey, anytime, guys. Look forward to seeing you over the summer.
You got it, brother.